Today we're going to talk about something very important called if statements. And if statements have to do with decision making. A computer is basically made up of two important aspects, and one is a computer can work with data, and another is that computers can make decisions with logic. Now, if a computer could only work with data, it wouldn't be very helpful because all it would be is a calculator. What makes computers very powerful is the fact that they can make decisions based off of certain aspects. So when you are deciding if you want to buy an Xbox, you may think, well, if I have enough money, then I'll buy the Xbox. Now, obviously, when you're buying an Xbox or anything, you have a lot more factors that are going into your decision making process. As part of being human is that you probably don't even know all the factors that are going into your processes. But a computer is very specific on the conditions it uses to make decisions. So here's a very, very simple program, and all it does right now is we run it, and it says, well, what is your age? Well, if I put 20, it says you are 20. But if I write 15, it writes you are 20. And that's not very helpful right now because it always says that you are 20 even if you're not. So what we need to do is we need to specify that we want it to print out you are 20 when the user enters in 20. We know we want this printf statement to only execute when the age is equal to 20. So to do this, we have to specify an if statement. And an if statement will say, if this is true, then do something. So to write an if statement, we will write if or if. Now an if statement has two following brackets and has two braces around the code that you want to execute, given a certain condition. Inside of here is when we specify what needs to be true, what has to be in order to run whatever is in between these two braces. So we want age to be 20. To do this, we would write age equals 20. Now notice that there are two equal signs. The two equal sign says that we want to compare these two things. We want to compare 20 and we want to compare age and see if they are the same. This, on the other hand, would set age equal to 20. It would change the value of age to 20 no matter what, which is not what we want. We want it to see if they're the same. So now that we have our if statement, and we run it, if I enter in 20, it says you are 20. If I enter in 15, it doesn't print out anything. Because what happens is here is it comes along here, it gets the age, and if age is equal to 20, if they entered in 20, it will go inside these braces and print out this printf statement. If, however, they enter in something that is not 20, it just skips over and goes all the way to this return statement. Now, inside of these parentheses, there are a few things you can do. I showed you the most basic one, and that is to compare if they're the same, if they're equal to each other. If the thing on the left is the same as the thing on the right. Here we have the comparison operators, or some of them, that you can use within your if statements. The first one here is equality, and that's what we were just using. It says if the thing on the left is equal to the thing on the right. The opposite of that is inequality, and that lets us see that they're not the same. It will go inside the if statement if the two things that we've given it on each side are not the same. And then we also have greater than and less than, which is simple enough if the thing on the left is greater than the thing on the right, and also if the thing on the left is less than the thing on the right. So let's just experiment with these and see how these work. So if I change this to a greater than symbol, and then what I need to do is I need to update our printf statement so it makes a bit more sense, because now this is saying that when age is greater than 20, execute this. Well, then this means that you are older than 20, because whenever age is anything greater than 20, so like 21, 22, then we know that they are older than 20. So if I compile this and I run, for example, 40, then it says you are older than 20. If I run it again and do 15, it doesn't do anything. But what happens if I enter in 20? Well, if I enter in 20 and run it, it actually doesn't print out anything because 20 is not greater than 20. They're the same. And so that's an important aspect that you need to take into account. Next is the less than symbol. So if I make this less than, then you are younger than 20. And the same applies when we run this. So it doesn't print out anything if I enter in 40 because 40 is greater than 20. But if I enter in 15, it will say you are younger than 20. So same with our doesn't equal sign. If I put age doesn't equal 20, then this should be you are not 20. So if I run this, if I enter in 15, it says you are not 20, or 500, you are not 20, but it keeps on doing you are not 20 unless you enter in 20 and it says nothing. So let's put this back to 20 is equal to 20. And now we're in the situation where it prints out you are 20 when you're 20, but it doesn't say anything when you enter in something else. Well, it would be very helpful if you could tell the user that they're not 20. Otherwise, they're confused and they don't actually know why they entered in their age. So the first thing you may think is that we can write another if statement. So if I write age doesn't equal 20, and then we have an if statement here. So then we have a print statement here that says you are not 20. This program will tell them if they're 20 or not. So if I enter in the age and I say 20, it says you are 20. But if I enter in anything else, it says you are not 20. So this works perfectly fine, but there is actually a much simpler way you can do this, and that is with the else statement. So if I simply delete this and write else, this will work the exact same way. So the way this works is that we get our age, and if our age is equal to 20, it prints this out, then leaves. But if it comes to this and we're not equal to 20, it skips to the if statement and will execute this instead. So if we run this again, you'll see it works the exact same way as before. It's just a lot cleaner and actually is a little bit easier to understand. The same works if I write that it is greater than 20. So it says you are older than 20. And on this case, we say you are 20 or younger. Note how I enter in 20 as well, because if they enter 20, that's not greater than 20, and the else statement will be executed. So if I enter in 15, it says you are 20 or younger. If I enter in 20, it writes you are 20 or younger. But if I write something older, it says you are older than 20. So that is the if and else for our age program. So if we take a look at this program instead, our car.c program, this is a program that has a car that is $21,999.99. Now the program asks the user how much money they actually have, and the program should be able to determine if they have enough money to buy the car. So the first thing you would immediately probably think is we would write an if statement that says that if our money is greater than our price, if we have more money than our price, then we can buy the car. Now this will work fine for most cases. So if I run our program, I have to compile the right one. And then I run this one. How much money do I have? Well, if I put I have 22, $22,000, it will say I can buy the car, which is perfectly fine. And if I say, well, I have $100, then it doesn't say anything. I can't buy the car. I get the cold shoulder. So the only issue is, though, what if I have the right amount, the exact amount of money? Then it says I can't buy the car, but I do have enough money to buy the car. Now the issue with this is if they are the same, then money is not greater than price, and it doesn't say I can buy the car. So what we can do is there is the ability with the greater and less than signs to put an equal sign after it, which says if the first variable is greater or equal to price, then we can execute what's in our if statement. So now if I run this program and enter in the exact change, it says you can buy a car. So that's a very helpful feature to know, that you can place an equal sign after the greater or less than signs. Next video, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into logic and creating a little bit more advanced conditions for our if statements. So if we take a look at this program instead, our car.c program, this is a program that has a car that is $21,999.99. Now the program asks the user how much money they actually have, and it should be smart enough to, and the program should be able to determine if they have enough money to buy the car. So the first thing you would immediately probably think is we would write an if statement that says that if our money is greater than our price, if we have more money than our price, then we can buy the car. Now this will work fine for most cases. So if I run our program, I have to compile the right one, and then I run this one, how much money do I have? Well, if I put I have $22,000, it will say I can buy the car, which is perfectly fine. And if I say, well, I have $100, then it doesn't say anything. I can't buy the car. I get the cold shoulder. So the only issue is, though, what if I have the right amount, the exact amount of money? Then it says I can't buy the car, but I do have enough money to buy the car. Now the issue with this is if they are the same, then money is not greater than price, and it doesn't say I can buy the car. So what we can do is there is the ability with the greater and less than signs to put an equal sign after it, which says if the first variable is greater or equal to price, then we can run our program. Then we can execute what's in the printf. Then we can execute what's in our if statement. So now if I run this program and enter in the exact change, it says you can buy a car. So that's a very helpful feature to know, that you can use these, that you can place an equal sign underneath the that you can place an equal sign after the greater or less than signs. So the same works for the less than. So if I say we have less money than our price, then you cannot buy the car. And then that will work perfectly fine. scratch that whole thing for the less than.